And we're back after a brief break. You're watching Joe Flores here on South Texas Now. I want to say hi to my mom, Flora. Hi, how are you? I know you're watching up there. And as promised, Danny, as you call him, Sheriff Bueno, is here as well. Yes, he says, "Habla Danny," whenever there's a problem. So we're here because we've got lawmen that are from the western part of the coastal bend, and your voices, you guys are front lines too, because everything goes through drugs, everything go through 4477. There's a lot of heavy commerce there, oil. I mean, Alice has always been the center of it, so has Fal. So starting with the district attorney's office, how do you deal with overcrowding? I've interviewed the sheriff on this, and I wanted to get you and the county attorney's take on keeping the jail in mind and the constraints. We can't lock up everybody, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the things we do is, we'll evaluate those cases that are coming in. By the time, on the felony side of it, a lot of times by the time the case has been submitted to our office, they have more than likely made bond and are out on bond. But the group that hasn't been able to make bond, generally we start working on those to see whether or not we can, start agreeing to that bond. Because one of the things that we're looking at is, the potential risk factors on that individual, because one of the things we're concerned with is the individual who's being locked up. I mean, they shouldn't be in there if they don't have to be in there, but at the same time we're also having to balance that with the community safety issues. Someone who continues to, let's say, violate the law every time they're let out, and they keep coming back in, we have to take that into account as well. So on ours it's a little bit difficult because some of the crimes that they've been accused of could involve sexual assaults, could involve murders, so it's just such a wide range that we do look at it on a case-by-case basis. We will visit with the jail staff to find out, and with the probation department to find out what some of those risk factors that they may be aware of that we're not aware of, just based on what was submitted to our office. So that's basically what we do on a case-by-case. Now, once an attorney gets appointed or hired, well, it becomes a little bit easier because they will file the motions that they need to file. They'll file the writs if they have to. And we can a lot of times work out, once they have representation, some conditions that address the concerns that we may have identified. So at least that's what we try to do.
Well, and looking at it from the county attorney's standpoint, we've got people that it's even higher, the stakes here, because you have maybe a domestic violence that looks just like a first timer, maybe not a first timer, maybe a small amount of drugs or quantity, but maybe there's other factors that are going on. There's simultaneous felonies with misdemeanors, and so how does that work? Which one is more priority? Lock them up for the felony or keep them out on bond? And then I was going to cut to Danny to see Sheriff Bueno to see the sentences of the jail itself. But please.
And sometimes the answer is yes to both. On the felony, they stay in. We may be able to resolve our cases, and as Carlos said, it may sound counterintuitive, but when there is an attorney on representing the defendant, it does make it easier because we can communicate and see if we can reach some kind of resolution. As I mentioned about the Damon-Allen Act, the state has helped come up with some software for risk assessment. That's the toughest part of a magistrate's job. How high should I set this bail? Should I set conditions? Which conditions should I set? There's now a program that they can run through, and they do a public safety report on every single person arrested that kind of gives them some guideposts as to what things might be appropriate in a case based on the person's criminal history, based on how many times they've been arrested, how many times have they been arrested within the last 6 months, other factors that they will find during that risk assessment, help them make those decisions. We have 5 JPs in Jim Wells County that handle our magistrations. we have 3 new ones coming in January 1st.
Oh, wow.
And all 3 of them just completed their first portion of training, state training. And so we're going to have 2 veterans and 3 new justices coming in January 1st. So they'll be, part of that training is learning how to use this new system that's less than a year old, but which I think is very promising and very helpful to try to help make those tough decisions. Is it going to be foolproof? Of course not. You're always going to have some aberrations where this person doesn't look like a high-risk threat, but turns out they may do something when they get out. We just don't have a crystal ball for that. But this software really goes a long way in helping to make those decisions.
And Sheriff, what is the capacity right now at the Jim Wells County Jail alone? I know that there's an annex and other things, but right now, how many can you hold in the county?
We can hold 80. We average about 65 to 70 on a daily basis. Most recently, of course, with the COVID 2019, 2020, we didn't have that many. But we can house up to 80. The program that we also have at the county jail, it's the jail diversion program with Coastal Plains MHMR. And they come in and evaluate the individuals if they need help, if they need medication, or if we need a bedding, they're able to provide us the information, and the state hospitals will accept these individuals so that we can send them. Having that relationship, it's a lot easier for us to send these individuals out. However, in the state, they lack a whole bunch of bedding for people that are suffering from these mental issues and mental health problems. So it's critical for our community to understand that, if these individuals have a problem, if there's no bedding, we can't send them. We're still with them there at the county jail. Luckily, we've been able to pass inspection for the past 6 years.
Congratulations.
Because it's very important. When they come in, they inspect from hot water to the food, to how the commode is flushed, and it's just unbelievable what the state expects for that jail to have. So we have a very good staff that work very closely with our administration to make sure that our individuals behind bars, they're human, and we've got to treat them humanly and protect them. So having this jail diversion program gives us an opportunity to have a caseworker to come and evaluate these individuals so that we can get them some other help. And of course, being able to contact the county attorney and the JPs as well as our district attorney. Where are we with this case? We need to move with him. Are we still going to hold him a little longer? When is this case coming up? Stuff like that is very important. Again, it all falls back to having a good communications and relationship with the prosecutors.
Well, very well said. The last thing I was going to ask you was, a lot of people know who you are, of course, the district attorney, but they don't know why you are in this community and you've stayed so long and served in different capacities.
Well, kind of like Michael and the sheriff, that's my home. I was born and raised in Jim Wells County. My roots from my parents are in Duval County. This is my home area. I was gone just for law school, and that was it. I was back when I came in, and when I came back in '95, I was defending. I was basically supporting the criminal justice system from that side of it. And then since '97 till now, I've been a felony prosecutor in the area, either in my current jurisdiction as an assistant DA, and then later as the elected. 4 years in Clayburgh and Kennedy, a lot of the same similar issues that we've been discussing. It kind of, it's one of those things that, when we can only make a difference in our community if we have people that are interested in making that effort in our community. We do it because we love our community and we love what we're doing, and we want to make that difference. And sometimes we hit those walls where just seems like we just can't make it do. And then something will happen that changes everything. Some resource will finally make it into our jurisdiction because enough of us, that squeaky wheel gets the oil. Mm-hmm. Enough of us were talking about it and pushing it and going up to Austin and telling our legislators, hey, we need this, we need that. And finally somebody says, you know what, we're going to do that because, for the longest time, we didn't have those mental health resources that we needed in our community. I think we still need more, but if you compare what we have today to what we had 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it's a huge difference.
Pretty rough.
Pretty rough. When you look at the help that the sheriff gets through some of these grants from the governor's office, from the federal government, or what we're getting to get from the governor's office. I mean, right now, my whole division of crime victim assistance is coming from grants. All of the transnational help that we're getting are coming from grants. And those grants are great, but it still takes a lot of administration. It takes a lot of work to get them to start with. But the asset forfeiture that, when the sheriff was talking about the interdiction and being able to buy equipment, well, this so-called free money, these grants are generally, you got to spend it first and then you get reimbursed for it. So if you didn't have the money to start with, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of these opportunities. I'm able to take advantage of some of these opportunities because of the hard work that his guys are doing on the interdiction side of it, so that we can do that. Because if not, I'd have to go to commissioner's court and tell them, well, I want to go after this grant, but it's got a 20% match, or it doesn't have a match, but it's probably going to be every month $10,000, but you're going to get it paid back. And they're going to say, well, where am I going to get the $10,000 to start with? If you don't have it, you can't spend it, and we don't have it. So all of these things work together to basically help us build up, because locally, the tax base is generally not going to be there. I mean, if you look at Brooks County, for example, a county of less than 8,000 people, if you look at how much crime comes through that county, you say, well, a county of that population should not have to deal with the magnitude of the crimes that are coming through. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to be that we're on that corridor, so we do have to deal with it.
Yeah, have to deal with that at all times. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on in our series about having law enforcement and keeping those people at bay that mean us harm, that are trying to invade our borders, and we're from within, trying to sell poison and ruin our children. So I want to thank each and every one of the lawmen that's come out this month in our series. Thank you, gentlemen. And I hope to see you on in the New Year.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. God bless. We're out of time.